This is DVDFuture Audio Video Reviews. The film we'll be reviewing is Defendor on DVD. The film is being released by Sony Pictures, is written and directed by Peter Stebbings, and stars Woody Harrelson, Elias Koteas, Michael Kelly, with Sandra Oh and Kat Dennings. Arthur Poppington, Academy Award nominee Woody Harrelson, doesn't need superpowers or fancy toys to fight crime. Armed with the childlike sense of wonder and his quirky arsenal of cheap homemade gadgets, he becomes Defendor. He finds an unexpected partner when he rescues and falls for a local prostitute, Kat Dennings from Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlists. Can the two of them take down the city's most fearsome crime boss without getting killed in the process? There's a darkness inherent in all of us, that little voice that begs us to make the wrong decisions, to go right when we should have gone left. But for some people, that voice confuses the line between good and evil. In other words, our actions may be socially wrong, even illegal, but oddly morally sound. Defendor gleefully explores this gray area, but adds a clever comic book twist to the narrative. Now, if you've seen the trailer, you know that Defendor was heavily advertised as a laugh-out-loud comedy. The trailer presents several hilarious gags, and tells us we're going to have a good time mocking Arthur Poppington, a man who basically dresses up like a superhero and fights crime. But honestly, that's not what this movie is about, and coming to terms with that actually took me about 15 minutes. The comedy of the trailer simply isn't there. The gags are there, to be sure, but placed in the context of the narrative, they're not nearly as funny. But that's not saying the film is a disappointment, not at all. If anything, the film actually exceeded my expectations. It's a much darker, deeper, more real exploration of mental illness with a clever superhero spin on things. Think Taxi Driver meets Batman Begins, with a dash of observe and report, wit and satire tossed in for good measure. And basically with that, you'll have the general idea. The film is anchored by Woody Harrelson's powerful performance. His Arthur is whimsically childish, but woefully tattered and broken. He's a man who's seen so much pain in his life, and the only way he copes is by fighting back. We're meant to laugh at him at first. The jokes are pretty funny. But, like everyone else in the film, we slowly start to understand him, and as the film progresses, we start to feel bad for him. We even fall in love with his honesty and strong moral center. This is a man who's not really capable of doing much with his life. He's far too broken for a real job or even a satisfying romantic nightlife. Instead, Arthur Poppington is meant to take on the dangerous criminals that haunt our city streets. It might be wrong of him to do so, sure, but nothing else in his life is really right. Vigilantism might just be the only thing he's truly good at. And obviously, many of these elements are played for satire, but there's an honesty and truth that still seeps out. Take, for example, Arthur's sidekick, so to speak, a prostitute named Kat, played by Kat Dennings. She fits into a cliched mold, the drug addict who's turning tricks for crack, but Arthur sees her potential. Much like himself, he sees that she's damaged goods, but her flaws do not outweigh her strengths, and he tries his best to, in a sense, rescue her. While Defender was best advertised as a comedy, it's far from it. And we're the better for it. The film explores the inherent isolation and loneliness of mental illness in clever new ways, and it doesn't stray too deeply into the dark Taxi Driver territory. We're presented with tangible, honest characters that just so happen to ironically fit into comic book molds. The film works as both a deconstruction of mental illness and a commentary on the comic book world without straying into worn territory. But as such, the film won't appeal to everyone. In fact, some might find it rather dangerous, even harmful, particularly to those who are maybe suffering from a little bit of mental illness. They might get some ideas that aren't maybe necessarily good. But for those looking to explore the darker side of humanity, and by that I don't mean the evil side, but rather people who are discarded by mainstream society as being problematic or troublesome, I'd highly suggest taking a look at Defendor. Entertainment value for Defender is an A. Film value for Defender is an A-, and my final grade for this film is an A. We'll now be moving on to the DVD portion of this review, starting with video. Defendor is presented in 2:35:1 anamorphic widescreen, spread across a dual-layer DVD. The film wasn't exactly produced on a high budget, and it shows. Lighting is a little uneven, sets are fairly cheap, and the film basically feels like an episode of a TV drama. But honestly, these elements actually help Defendor more than they hinder it. Since the narrative is about an unstable man on the brink of his own sanity, the wonky, occasionally uneven lighting and noise and even the cheap set design works to the picture's advantage. Obviously, this isn't a perfect presentation, but as far as the encode goes, Defender is fairly flawless and looks pretty good on DVD. Grade for video is an A-. Moving on to audio, the choices here are English, Spanish, and Portuguese and Thai Dolby Digital 5.1, with English, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, Chinese, and Thai subtitles with English captions for the hearing impaired. Again, like the transfer, this mix is hardly referenced and reeks of a low-budget production. Rear surrounds are mostly filled out by the film's mediocre score. Front surrounds exhibit decent separation and bass pops up during the action sequences, but felt underused throughout. Sadly, this mix is fairly mundane and oddly quiet. I even noted a few high-end crackles every so often in the dialogue. Unlike the transfer, unfortunately, which enhanced the film through the uneven visuals, this mix is just not impacting enough to really enhance the experience of the film itself. Grade for the audio is a B-. Moving on to extras and packaging. The DVD copy of the film, provided by Sony, came packed in a black single-disc DVD case featuring the film's newly designed home video artwork, which seems to replicate the look of the Zombieland Blu-ray and DVD case, which honestly isn't a bad choice considering that the demographics align fairly well here. Grade for the packaging is an A. Extras are pretty investigative, exploring the production and its unique themes. There's a fascinating commentary with writer-director Peter Stebbings, producer Nicholas Tabarrok, and actors Woody Harrelson and Kat Dennings. I love hearing commentary tracks that feature the cast. For me, it shows they actually liked the film. This wasn't just a paycheck for them and something they phoned in, and the track is really enjoyable and a lot of fun to listen to. Next, there's a deleted scenes reel. 5 scenes are presented, and they run less than 3 minutes total. There's not a lot here, but it is worth a look. The deleted scenes are complemented by an amusing outtakes reel that also runs just under 3 minutes. Finally, fans are treated to 5 explorative featurettes. They include Origin Stories, The Genesis of Defendor, which runs 10 minutes, Removing the Costume behind the screenplay, which runs 11 minutes, Heroes and Villains Meet the Players, which runs 20 minutes, An Actor's Director Working with Peter Stebbings, which runs 5 minutes, and Famous Last Words Wrapping Defender, which runs 10 minutes. Collectively, the goodies add up to an informative, fascinating 56-minute documentary which explores the origins, production, and release of the film, complete with behind-the-scenes footage, incredible cast and crew interviews, and more. If you're a fan of the film, all 5 of these featurettes are worth a look. They're a lot of fun and very, very interesting. They really explore the film in unique ways. Grade for the extras is an A. My final thoughts on the film? Well, Defender wasn't what I expected. It's not a laugh-out-loud comedy, but honestly, it was a better movie than my original expectations would have allowed. It's sincere, dark, exciting, and thoughtful. If you love comic book adventures or films about twisted minds, you're bound to really enjoy what Defender has to offer. If only Sony would have ponied up a Blu-ray. If you're in the market to buy a Blu-ray, the Canadian distributor Alliance Films has one for sale. If I can get my hands on that release, I'll review it as well. My recommendation for Defender is pick this one up, either on DVD or Blu-ray. I would also suggest giving Special with Michael Rapaport a look. It's a film that's very, very similar. I'd also suggest possibly doing a trilogy with this film, Defendor, Special, and Kick-Ass. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more reviews of theatrical features, high-def equipment, Blu-ray discs, DVDs, and more. And as always, thanks for listening.